Today we're going to cover a luxury PPC ad strategy or advertising / marketing strategy that works for luxury brands. Basically every single time. I have a proven strategy here that I've used time and time again to sell products and services in the luxury category by narrowing down the targeting to the people that are the most likely to buy and actually have the disposable money / income to buy the luxury products in the first place, which is where most people go wrong when they're advertising on Google and Facebook especially, but in general online. I'll go through exactly what this method is. I'm going to give you some examples of how this worked for other companies we've dealt with in the home services space as well as in the product space. And then from there, of course, you'll have everything you need to be able to make a luxury campaign work for your brand itself as well, either product or service, whether you're selling one or the other. So that said, I'll get directly into the content. Luxury advertising that works, truly works, and gets a good ROI. When I say works, I'm talking about ROI on ad spend. Comes down to, at least when we're talking about luxury specifically, it's 90% placement, because this is where everybody gets it wrong. There's a reason Louis Vuitton, Gucci, other, / any other, insert any other luxury brand, all place their stores in places where the money is, in high-end international airports, in tier 1 cities, or buying a booth at a classic car show or a show where they are marketing planes, trade show, or auction, that kind of thing. Why? Because anybody that's going to buy a plane obviously already has the money. It's proven. I mean, it's not guaranteed, but it's pretty darn, proven. Who the hell cares about looking at planes and go to a plane auction if they don't have money? And at least if there's people that don't have money there, there's definitely people that do have money there that are in the top 1 to 4% where luxury goods buyers actually are. Where most people and going in addition to that, if you are going to make a good return on your ad spend, where the key thing with advertising online to get it to work is you got to narrow your targeting down to the point where at least 1% or more of the people that you're targeting are people that would buy what you have if they just saw it and you were presented it. Because the more times your ad's seen by somebody who isn't going to buy, even though you're paying per click, the more money that's wasted. And there's a certain threshold where you waste so much money that your ads aren't profitable anymore. So, because even though they call it pay-per-click advertising, you're paying per click, yes. The lower the lower the click-through rate on your ad, the higher your cost per click is going to go. So effectively, you're paying per time your ad shows on the internet, whether they call it pay-per-click advertising or they don't. So you have to figure out how to narrow your targeting enough to where you're not having the ad seen by people that can't buy. And there's not at least a certain minimum. There's not you limit the amount of people that can't buy to as little numbers as possible, so that so the waste circulation of your ad that is seen by people that can't buy is as little as possible, and basically giving yourself the highest chance possible to have it under a certain minimum threshold to make your campaign profitable for you after your spend. Because obviously there's a point where so many people see it that can't buy that your ads cost too much to run to find the people that can buy, and you don't make any money. So where most people, like I said, I talk to, I run an ad agency, and most people that come to me and say, Corey, try to market our luxury products. We got too many people that, if they're generating leads, that is, they can't buy. We had somebody that was a luxury cabinet maker / seller in this exact situation. Every time they would try to run ads on Google, on Facebook, they would get a bunch of leads. The leads weren't qualified, they couldn't afford the service, and it made the campaign unsuccessful. What do? We make sure our ads are not seen by people that are not in the top 4% of income demographic to begin with. Because if they can't see the ad, they can't respond to the ad. And we don't have to worry about having more importantly, our ad seen by people who can't buy, which that's all money down the drain. So as it comes to Google / Facebook / other online platforms that accept that, like if you wanted to include LinkedIn and that kind of stuff in there, you could. But in general, Google and Facebook are where the main money is. What you do is you target certain neighborhoods, okay? Because based upon where someone lives and the average income, the average price of a house in a certain area will tell you the average income of a user in those areas. They go hand in hand. Because obviously with Zillow, you can go and see what the average assessed value of a house is in a certain neighborhood based upon looking at what the houses that are for sale in that market are listed for sale as. So you can put one-to-one together. You obviously can see what level, you can Google what level of income does it take to be in the top 4% of income demographic nationwide. And that actual 4% is around $300,000 a year in average income, okay? Right? And then obviously there's only so much house you can buy with a $300,000 income. And a house that has a $300,000 a year income earner, the wife is probably not working, so it's probably a one income household, more than likely. Or that's the lion's share of the income. So they can only buy so much house with that they'll be eligible for in terms of the loan. So then you could basically understand that if you see where I'm going with this. If a house is priced this much, the person probably makes this much, or at least this much. And then you can see then, and all the other houses that, they're going to be priced around the similar price point in that area. So ultimately you can deduct, based upon the prices of a house in a neighborhood, what the average income of the user is also in that area. And then once you have that list of neighborhoods that have the income of the people that you want to target, okay, then you can go into your Google account. For instance, just Google to keep it simple here. Won't talk about the other ad platforms. And then you target those neighborhoods. You could target those neighborhoods by high income zip code. So of the neighborhoods you want to target, okay, you find the zip code that they're in. You target those zip codes. The zip codes that by itself, though, isn't targeted enough. You want certain neighborhoods in certain zip codes, which Google doesn't have that targeting capability by default in there. Probably because we want to, they want to charge us extra money to get after the people that we really want, right? To get back down to where you're only targeting those certain neighborhoods that have the top 4% earners in it. You exclude then areas that don't apply. So you target a whole, there's positive location targeting in Google, and then there's negative location targeting in Google. Positive targeting, you're going to target the whole zip code because that's all you can do. Negative targeting wise, you could still only target as zip codes itself for the negative targeting end of it, but you could also do radius targeting as well. So what I'll do is we'll find a GPS, because you can also target in terms of radius. You can do a certain radius around a city, or you can also do a certain radius around a GPS coordinates. So you find GPS coordinates inside that zip code that are not in the neighborhood that you want, and then you do a 1 mile radius around those particular GPS coordinates to basically single out all areas in that zip code that you do not want. So in other words, to draw you a little picture here, if you have, let's say this is your zip code area here. The zip code you targeted with the positive location targeting covers this whole zip code. What you can do, and then the area you really want to target inside the zip code is this small little box right here, right? What you do is you find the GPS coordinates of this area right here, and then you say, I want to exclude this GPS coordinates and everything around this coordinates up to 1 kilometer around, or 1 mile around. And so that'll make sure that your ad doesn't show, even though you're targeting this whole zip code, unless they are not inside this negative location this negative radius target. So, and then you do it again and again and again. And basically you find GPS coordinates to then exclude 1 mile radius around those zip codes, or those GPS coordinates, if you will, until you've also added enough negative location targeting in that zip code so that all that's left is just your neighborhood that's eligible to show. So you'll target the whole zip code, but with the negative location targeting you do that covers 1 mile around each GPS coordinate that you hand pick that cover areas outside your neighborhood that you want, you're ultimately left with the system only being able to show your ad if it's in that exact neighborhood you want. So even though, in other words, you can't target certain neighborhoods with Google, and that's where the targeting gets precise enough that you can really start making money, you use this workaround of negative location targeting with the positive location targeting, using radius targeting as your negative location option there, or for your negative location targeting, to be able to exclude areas in the zip codes that you do not want. And so you're only left with the neighborhoods within the zip code you want that have the high income users, and you effectively can target at the neighborhood level that has neighborhoods that have houses that are of a certain price point that you're dealing with people in the top 4% of income now. That's how you get to target, and you eliminate enough waste with your targeting of your ads that you can make money, because every single ad is going to be seen by somebody who can actually buy your product or service at that point in time. Now that, by the way, what I just shared with you here, that'll basically get you into the top 4% of income demographic. If you wanted to just target top 10%, by the way, Google in the household income targeting options inside your account lets you target top 10% just by selecting it. You want to do the top 4%, that's the method. You want to get the top 1% only, you could go to Nextmark mailing list, just Google that, and then search for high income Americans or some variation of that, and you could find mailing lists that'll give you a list of high income individuals. And then they have something called selects, where they actually will tell you the income of the person on the list. So then if you, going back to, the average 1% of income earner in the US is going to be like 550,000 or above. And that's not the exact amount, but you get my general gist, because I can't remember it off the top of my head. But with the mailing lists that Nextmark has, they can give you effectively through the mailing list of high income earners, and then using the selects, which will tell you the actual income of each person on that list, you can actually purchase a list of people that are in that top 1%. Or you could do top 0.1% if you wanted to. That gives you a list of people's email addresses that are in the top 1% or top 1.1%, whatever you want. You take that email list, you upload it to your Google Ads account, and then you use that list to filter whatever other targeting you have inside your account. So if you're trying to target, like we had with the cabinet maker, when somebody types into Google custom cabinet maker or custom cabinet contractors, right? If we use our location targeting option here, then the person that types that in, the only way that they'll see our ad, that we're paying to have our ad seen by, is if they are in those certain neighborhoods that we want. If we wanted to make sure only the top 1% would see our ad, well, we upload our email list, and then we tell Google to exclude anybody who's not in that email list, in other words. Or we have to actually do it in an opposite way to make sure that we're only getting people on that email list to see our search ads. And in that case, what you do is you add that audience, which you upload your email list there as your audience of your top 1%, and then you go into the audience menu and you do a plus 800% bid adjustment on that audience, and then you set your bid on your keywords pretty low, artificially low, so that low enough to where your ad wouldn't show normally otherwise. So effectively, you only have the ad show up now if they're on that email list, because the email list is what, with the bid modification, that makes it eligible to show up for the searches that you want, if you follow my logic here. So Another, long story short, with these email lists out there that you can purchase/rent, you can use that for your targeting inside your Google account to get any level of income user that you want. 0.1, 1%, whatever you need there. Or you can use my method here with the location targeting, carve out certain neighborhoods you want, and get somebody who's fairly high income, even though it might not get you the very accurately in the 1% by itself. But those are your options to target the high income users. Effectively, that'll get you for sure get you the income level of the person that you need to have. And then tying all this together, like I said, like what we were doing with the cabinet maker as an example, anybody who types in anything looking for a cabinet maker or cabinet contractor on Google, we want our ad to show up, but only if they're in that top 1% of income demographic, because we know they can afford our luxury product, a luxury service. And then you do everything you can to get those people to click on your ads and get those leads, right? The other thing you can do, of course, is through Google Display Network, which you're also going to do through your Google Ads account. You can show up on any other website on the web that the person pretty much goes on, that banner ads show on those websites. And effectively, through something called custom audiences, you can actually make sure that anybody who searched for a custom cabinet maker in the last 30 days or so will be able to see your banner ad now show up for the person. So you exploit that to hell. And anybody who searched for a custom cabinet maker in our geographic area that's also in the top 1%, they'll see our banner ad, and we try to drive that traffic to our site. Once we get them to even click on our banner ad once, now we can have our banner ads show up on Facebook or any other place on the web, because through Facebook we can do retargeting and have ads show up for people there that we know are high income and that we know are looking for custom cabinets, because we got them to click on our banner ad through our Google Ads account and through Google Display Network advertising. You see how we do all this? So effectively, using Google's data, we can identify people that are in market for our product, advertise to them until they click on our ad, and then remarket to them on any other platform through the retargeting that all these other ad platforms have as well. But you can also do retargeting, obviously, through Google Display Network itself. But that's a very effective way to sell to people any kind of luxury product you have, because if they're in market for a luxury product, you could target them on Google and then obviously make it work, because you're making sure that they can afford it. Otherwise, they're not going to see your ad, and then you can keep following them up until they buy. That's the magic formula I'm going to use 95% of the time to sell any luxury service or product, to make sure I'm getting in front of the right user that has the real money and a person that's in market for what we're selling. Of course, you could try to sell a luxury handbag to somebody who's never searched for or indicated that they were interested in that, and try to make that work using similar targeting strategies as I shared with you here. That's a much harder thing to do, and more than likely, most of you guys aren't going to have the ability to get that work. Whereas though, if you're targeting people that have raised their hand at one point on Google and says that they were interested in a luxury handbag, that's 50 times easier to get that to be profitable for your company. So effectively, that's how you do it. For the easy way to make money with the real system that we use, basically that will work every time. Furthermore, with YouTube ads, by the way, you can do the same thing. If they've searched for a luxury handbag on Google in the recent past, you can have a video ad show up for them on YouTube in that case. And then if they have clicked through our YouTube video ad, we can remarket to them everywhere else through that, after doing that. And it's the same thing on YouTube. We can make sure, unless they're in that 1% of income demographic, through the methods I shared with you here, they're not going to see our video ad. So they have to have looked for a luxury handbag, and they have to be in that 1%. Otherwise, they're not seeing our ad. Once they click on our ad, we're going to remarket to them to death until we get them to buy. When you remarket them to them, by the way, you don't just beat them over the head over and over again asking them to buy. You come up with very creative ways to be able to continue selling and pushing what you have. You show other celebrities with your product. You explain how this is a hot trend right now, which gets people to want to be a part of that trend. You explain how the reviews of your product showing how high quality it is or proving how high quality it is. And like we'll do for our own brand, at Guarantee PPC, we'll have 10, 20 different advertisements that focus on different reasons why you should buy our service that will show up on YouTube and on banner ads across the web and on Facebook. Everywhere possible we can get in front of that person again. But we don't do just one or two different approaches. We do 10, 20 different approaches to convey to the user, yeah, this is a product you want, or more relevant is the service you want in this case, because since we're talking about our own agency. But that's how you actually, kind of take the, data that you have about people who are in market for what you have because they searched for it recently on Google, and then make that multiply and make that, to get as much as you can from those people that are raising their hands and have done some research about buying from your market. In other words, to get the full value out of the amount of people that have already shown to you that they're interested in your product category or service category, how to get the maximum value out of it. So it's just like, if you were trying to sell a car, it's obviously much easier to figure out who's looking for a car and then do everything you possibly can in your power to get them to buy your car versus trying to get people to want to buy a car, and that's 100 times harder to do. It's virtually just basically, unless you got just money after money to try to test this audience and that audience to try to get it to work, you don't basically do it. Maybe, and at the very least, you don't do it until you've extracted all the possible value out of the method that I gave you here. Once that's working, which will make a ton of money for you, start to invest in trying to figure out how to convince people that should be interested in what you sell. So anyway, that's an example of how to do this for any luxury brand, what I would do for my own luxury brand and do for my own luxury brands that we have, because we sell a luxury mailbox product, use the same method there, and you just got to understand who your buyer is, which is somebody who has a high income at or above a certain level, and you have to find out what that level is, and don't waste your money advertising to people who are at least at that level. And this will take you to any level that you need, whether it's the top 10%, top 4%, top 1%, top 0.1%, whatever it takes, whatever it is. You've got to audit your customer base, see who, of course, you might have some buyers that have mid-income, average income. Where's 80% of your buyers? What level of income are they mostly at? That's where you want to do your income targeting at. Income tied to location targeting, because that's our method of targeting people by income. Unless you're doing top 10%, like I said before, in that's part of Google's default targeting, income targeting that they allow you to do by default. Facebook, by the way, also has income level targeting that they allow you to do by default as well, as long as you want top 10% or top 10 to 25%. They also let you do that there effectively. But this same location targeting to do income targeting in a workaround way, in a roundabout way, you can do that same exact thing on Facebook as you can on Google. So you can be sure that you can do the same thing there, and you can also upload an email list to make sure that the people that you target on Facebook is on your email list already. So if you want to just target 1% inside your little geographic area, you could certainly do that by uploading your email list of 1% income earners and then narrowing that down to another geographic area as a secondary way to filter who should see your ads if that's what you want to do. That's totally possible to do with Facebook as well. Anyway, with that all said, if you have any questions about anything I covered today, leave me a comment below. I get back to every single person who leaves me a comment on this channel, usually within a couple days' time. Ask me any ad-related question you'd like. I love getting back to my viewers on any questions that they have about stuff that they're doing. I do it just simply as a way to give back to the people who watch this channel. Beyond that, if you did like the video and you saw value in it, I'd appreciate it if you would give the video a like and consider subscribing, as I have a ton of other content on this channel about how to make tons of money with online advertising, as it's coming from somebody who manages dozens of ad accounts on an ongoing basis and just focuses on the strategy and figuring out what strategies work versus don't work. And so therefore the information I'm sharing with you here comes directly from the source. And so therefore, you should subscribe. It's the best information you're going to basically find on YouTube, as it's not coming from a YouTuber who makes money from being a YouTuber, not an owner of an ad agency that does strategy for a few dozen clients. So you should subscribe, and of course you can take the information I shared with you here today and add to it the details on how to make it work the best way possible as well, how to make the best possible YouTube ad, and so on and so forth, which I have a video on everything that you basically can need. Beyond that though, if you like my channel and you want a bit more information, you can also find my blog at guaranteeppc.com/blog, where you can find lots of other strategies that will make you money using online advertising as a way to do it. You can also find my column at entrepreneur.com, where you can also find my writing and tips, tricks, and strategies on how to make money with online advertising today in today's world. So you might want to check that out. If you like the channel, you'll definitely like that as well. If you are looking for the best ad manager that you can find to work on your stuff, or ready to switch ad agencies for by chance, I'd love to be able to have a one-on-one talk with you and see if we can potentially work together. I offer a ad management service where we offer results up front, and we don't charge until we get your results on your campaign in terms of additional sales or a certain amount of minimum sales on something new that you'd like to do or try. And we charge our fees once we got you a certain minimum level of additional traction. So no pay up front. With the results you get, you can definitely pay us once you've gotten some results, and the fees we charge will be less than what you're going to make up front on your campaigns. I can promise you that. That is if we do work together. The only catch is we don't work with just any client. You got to have a great product or service / opportunity for us to work together and take you on. But I'd love to be able to give you an analysis and see if we can work together. That analysis is free either way. So reach out to me at guaranteeppc.com. I'd be happy to speak with you. If you also are looking for another way to make money with your ads in addition to what you have and want to cut out the work, if we've worked in your space already, chances are we can get you a template that works for your industry that we've built up over years for another client in your industry before, and you can shortcut the way to success. All the money, time, and effort that we took to get some results in your market already, you can cut all that out and just use the proven version we found works in your market already. As long as there's no conflict of interest there between a client we have now and what you're doing in your market, we can get you the results that work in your market in terms of the campaigns, landing pages, and so forth for a one-time fee. And it's certainly going to be cheaper than whatever it takes for you to figure the same stuff out on your own, I promise you. So if you're interested in that, to see if we've gotten results in your market, and furthermore, what results we've gotten in your market, so you can that you would be able to literally get by copy and pasting the campaigns we have for it into your account, reach out to me. I'll let you know what the results would be in the market that you're in. So with that said, of course, if you're interested in that, reach out to me at guaranteeppc.com. Be happy to speak with you on that particular opportunity as well. I'll wrap it up with that. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you in my next video where we have another fantastic money-making